Hey everyone, I'm here with a quick video on Kaleena Harper from Dirty Money, okay? The Bad Boy Entertainment, Sean Diddy Combs group Dirty Money. So she did an interview recently with Breakbeat, and many people were coming to me saying, Diva, one, did you see the interview? Two, if you saw the interview, can you give us your thoughts on it? A lot of people feel that she is 10 toes down for Diddy, and they think it is insanely crazy. In said interview, she also called Don Richard a bitch. She said that Cassie was naive. Is the video, the interview is about an hour and 16 minutes. I listened to it twice because I had to like let it marinate and get my feelings on it. So let me tell you some of the questions people asked me when they said, give me your thoughts. One, they want to know, do I think she was on something in said interview? Like, was she under the influence? Whew. And here's the thing. I watched a few past interviews with Kalana and compared it to seeing her in this particular interview with Breakbeat. And I will say, is it different? Absolutely. But the interviews I found were from about 9 to 10 years ago. And I guess we might say, are we all different? If 10 years later? Absolutely, we are. But to get back to, did I think she was under the influence during this interview? Um, Things seem a little off in comparison to other interviews I've seen her do. Definitely things seem a little off. I can't call it, was she on something, not on something? I don't know. But I do know that in this interview, a lot of childhood trauma, a lot of unfortunately being violated as a child sexually, a lot of her being around said situations that perhaps might simulate to um, situations that perhaps Diddy would do, which would make her seem, would make her think like what she's seeing going on with Diddy is the norm, if I'm kind of making sense there. Because she had so much going on in her childhood and she saw so much, been through so much, and to me, didn't even see herself as a victim of her childhood. When she goes into adulthood and she see these things, it's like her norm. So she's thinking, yeah, nothing's wrong with it because she's seen it her whole life, if I'm making sense. So when it comes to Dawn Richard and she calling her a bitch and saying that she's weird, well, if you had a life like Kalana and you bump into a diva, you may think diva is a weird bitch because I don't do or understand the things that she do and what she's been through. So Kalana talks about in this particular interview, and she has said it when she was on Love and Hip Hop, that she likes girls, and there were times where threesomes went on, so forth and so on. She said that in Love and Hip Hop. And in this interview, she just said, I like girls. And she actually said in this interview, if there was a preference of which way I would rather go, she said it would be with a girl. So why am I bringing that up? I'm bringing that up to say that when you bump into Diddy, who, is also very fluid with his sexuality, and maybe he likes to have threesomes, foursomes, fivesomes, orgies, or whatever, and you got Kalana coming into this situation, is she going to think that Diddy is weird and crazy or something like that? And I'm not saying just because you have threesomes or you like same-sex relationships, you're weird and crazy. But what I'm trying to say is that to Kalana, whatever she saw with Diddy was her norm because she done already saw it in her childhood. If you follow my little breadcrumbs I'm throwing there. So let me go back through. I wrote some notes about what she said in this interview. She said she left home at 17. She graduated from high school as a nail tech. Her mom had her at 16. Just to give you some context to this conversation. Her mother didn't have problems putting hands on her, like punching her in the eye bleeding. Like, so there you already saw violence. You already saw people not having a problem putting hands on each other. Your mother put her hands on you. And then when her and her husband Tony got together, she said they was putting hands on each other while they was figuring out their life and their relationship. So if you and your husband are putting hands on each other and you perhaps, she never said she never saw anything with Diddy in his situation. She claims she never saw anything, but let's say you did. even if you saw something with Diddy putting hands on each other on the girlfriends, or a girlfriend of his come to you and say, Diddy put his hands on me, you thinking, well, me and my husband put our hands on each other, so whatever, is what's the big deal, right? She was homeless when she left home at 17 and was going to the studio, staying in the studio all day, and then sleeping in her car. She so when her mom had her, she was 16, and the dad was 24, and her grandmother explained the relationship between her father and her mother, as her mother was Ard. That's what the grandmother told Kaleena. Like, your mother was Ard, and so Kalena's growing up her life thinking, oh, so I'm a product of an Ard situation. She just lived a very traumatic life, right? So she said she was 14 when she found out that her stepfather was not her real father, and she also talked about how her stepfather, pretty much never liked her, right? So that's what the childhood was like. But then to back up a little bit more, she said her mom was molested by her brothers and sisters. I mean, her brothers, and so she called her uncles Aris, and she claimed that they had a dog, that the dog's name was Rapist. Like, this is crazy. This is the life that Kaleena grew up in. So am I expecting someone who grew up with all of that to and didn't realize that they was a victim themselves, to maybe perhaps bump into a Diddy and think that anything he's doing is crazy, when all she saw was crazy her whole life and it became her norm? If you can get what I'm saying. So to put the fast forward button a little bit, she even talked about how her biological dad was helping her with her career at some point, would bring her to a studio. And there was this one time where there was a studio person they went to. There was a mic in the studio. There was this like pallet on the floor, and she would be brought there, and the man would just have relations with her and never made a record, never did anything. It was just wholly insane. So she meets Diddy, Dirty Money, met Cassie, said when she met Cassie, Cassie was naive, claimed that Cassie was getting a 30 to 50K allowance per week. And she claimed that Cassie, she liked her situation, what was going on. Watch the hour interview. Is interesting. It's colorful. I will give you, don't just watch the clips, because if you watch just the clips, you may get one situation on this. You watch the whole interview, you're gonna get something different out of it. So I'll play this clip that the Jasmine band kind of put together.
Always been somebody that I wanted to be like.
Cassie.
Love her to death, naive, like getting high. She likes partying. She liked that. Was the thing.
Speaking of the after party.
I don't fucking know. Don't talk about no baby oil thing. Like, I still use baby oil. Y'all need to get into it. I saw Cassie grow up from a little girl that was willing to like give everybody motherfucking, lap dances basically. Get drunk and just have a good like model time.
What's your relationship like with Dawn?
I don't fuck with Dawn like that. And I'm gonna fucking stand on business. I didn't see that. What I saw was, what the fuck is going on with you, because you acting weird. You're a weird bitch. Is what I see. And it's a list of niggas where y'all at. Talk about it. Dawn's a weird motherfucker, man. But y'all motherfucker call me to tell the truth. I'm finna motherfucker tell the truth. Sean has always been...
Ooh, that's just a piece of it. Imagine 1 hour and 16 minutes. The interviewer did an amazing job. He asked her the right questions. He allowed her to just speak her truth. She has an amazing voice, because she did do a little piece where she sung a little bit. The girl has talent, but unfortunately, her life was riddled with trauma after trauma after trauma. And I think the trauma caught up to her. And this is who we are seeing today, a result of this caught up trauma. If I had to summarize and say that she windmilling for Diddy, I don't personally think she is on purpose. I think that people have told me her husband, Tony Vick, and Diddy are very close. I think that, she feels her husband is her ride or die. So if your husband is your ride or die, and your husband friend is Diddy, and you unfortunately been through so much trauma and you can't even tell that you yourself was a victim. You're probably not going to acknowledge anybody else as being a victim because you would probably have to first acknowledge yourself as being one. And on that note, the way she talks and she gets down with Diddy, she don't think Diddy did anything wrong, because if she admits to that, then she would probably have to admit in her mind that he wronged her too. Now, there's a confirmation in this piece where she talks about how when she first met Diddy, it was in his underwear and he was kind of putting his pants on. Anybody who talks about a story with Diddy, he loved to walk around pretty much with just the underclothes on or no clothes at all. So the man has issues with that, okay? And she talked about the 52 or 56 phone calls that were made between her and Diddy, a reason as to why he couldn't get out on bail. And she kind of explained that also, was like, I'm calling back and forth. Did you see this? Did you hear that? Listen to that. I'll go read that and then call me back. Listen, the interview is a great interview. What I come out of it the most is that Kalani is a victim of her childhood and probably of the industry and all of the people in her life, male and female, that kind of took advantage of her, and we're seeing a broken person in front of us. That's what I saw in that particular video. I'm trying to think what else in that interview that really struck me or stood out with me. Oh, her biological father ended up, first of all, 33 kids. I want to say she said 33. And she ended up marrying a man that before they got married, he had 7 kids. So speaking about repeating history, she got with a man that was probably similar to like her father. And then she said too, while they were married, he ended up having another baby on her, but she was determined to stay with this man. So she's a victim herself, and therefore I can't picture her recognizing anybody else being a victim. So versus windmilling for Diddy versus there's other things going on, I'm rolling with the other. That if you listen to her childhood story and the fact that she's been through so much herself, Diddy is similar to the people she loved, like her daddy and like her husband. So no, she's not going to see him as a bad person because she doesn't see her husband as one or her daddy as one. And I'm not saying that her husband is a bad person. I'm just trying to have your flow on this road of my thought process for a minute. So guys, chat with me in the comments, and when I get an opportunity, I will chat back. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so that every time I upload a video, you will be notified. If you are a subscriber, welcome back. Everybody, thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts on the interview. Do you think she was on something? Do you think that she is being delusional and she's just really trying to windmill for Diddy? Or did you listen to the whole entire 1 hour and 16 minutes and just feel that this girl grew up in a life of trauma with her own mother hitting her, the stepfather never liked her, her own father unalived herself. And then on top of that, she went away from home at 17. And I forgot, the craziest thing to me was that she doesn't even have custody of her children. Her mother does. The mother that she said did her dirty, and now you're okay, and was a product of being molested and kind of didn't even protect you as her own kid, but now you have your kids with her and think that she's going to protect the grandbabies. It's a lot. Chat with me, guys. When I get an opportunity, I will chat back. Hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next video.